Happy Father's Day, y'all, and happy Father's Day to all of the fathers, grandfathers, uncles, brothers, whoever has stepped into their role as a father. Just know that you are appreciated. Welcome to my channel. My name is Tammy Arrington. I am the owner of Tammy A1 Consulting, and what I do is I educate on credit, how to utilize your credit responsibly. Not only that, education on federal student loans. There's a lot that's just going on in general, but I want to talk about public service loan forgiveness. The Student Aid website has been insane today. It has been all over the place. But I want to talk about public service loan forgiveness because we have a lot of borrowers who are trying to buy back periods of time spent in forbearances and also time spent in deferments. And some of those times that were spent in either one of those status may be eligible for you to purchase back. But you have to be aware of what months are actually eligible for you to purchase back because there are some months that you're just not able to buy back, depending on what the status was as far as that deferment or that forbearance. So let's go ahead and get started. All the information that I'm going to show you today is for educational and informational purposes only. None of this information that I'm going to provide to you constitutes any type of legal, personal, or financial advice. All the information is going to come directly from the source. We're going to go to the Student Aid website. We'll be on the IRS website as well. So that way you'll know exactly what transcripts you need to or how to pull your transcripts directly from the IRS, and you can get them for free. You can download them right through your account. All right. So let's get started. So let's go directly to the Student Aid website. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Should already have that up and going before I got started. I started my video before I got my screen share. Let's go ahead and get the screen share here. All right, so we are going to go to the Student Aid website, okay? And this is the first place that you are going to start, especially if you are applying for public service loan forgiveness. You have to go through the Student Aid website in order to get that process started. If you have not, first thing you want to do is verify that you work for a qualifying employer, and then you can do that simply by just going to search for qualifying employer here on the Student Aid website and get the EIN number for the employer, and it will let you know if that's an eligible employer or not. But just to know, sometimes you can put an EIN number here for an employer and it still may be a qualifying. It may say ineligible, but you very well still may work for a qualifying employer. So you still want to go ahead and submit the application and let the Department of Education do all their verifications and checks and get the information over to the employer and go from there, okay? All right, so let's talk about PSLF really, really quick here. So when you get to the Student Aid website, you're going to go under loan forgiveness, and then you're going to click on public service loan forgiveness. This is how we got to the information that was here. But I want to go here for learn about PSLF because, like I said, we have a lot of borrowers who are trying to buy back periods that they spent in a deferment or forbearance. But you have to know what happens when you do that, what months qualify. Not only that, we have borrowers who need to consolidate or not necessarily need to consolidate, but who are considering consolidating their loans in order to benefit from public service loan forgiveness. And for some of you, you may not even need to consolidate a loan. But if you do consolidate, it's important that you understand what happens when you do the consolidation and what you may risk losing with that, okay? So when you click on, let me go back again. I feel like I went too quickly. So once you get to loan forgiveness and you click on public service loan forgiveness, we're going to go down to learn more about PSLF, okay? Everything you need to know about public service loan forgiveness is on the Student Aid website, step by step by step, how you are able to apply. It gives you all the information that you need. But right now, we know that there's an executive order about the public service loan forgiveness because the current administration is trying to change some things with the program as far as what is a qualifying employer. Now, mind you, nothing has happened right as the program stands today. There has not been any changes. The only thing that is happening is that we have borrowers who are in the SAVE plan, which is technically for the purposes of public service loan forgiveness, you need to work for not only a qualifying employer, but you also have to make your payments through a qualifying repayment plan. And currently, right now, as it stands, because borrowers who are in the SAVE plan, they are in an administrative forbearance, which means that technically there's no payments that's being made, and that makes that as an ineligible type of repayment plan. But what this administration has said is that although you're in this ineligible repayment plan, being the SAVE plan, you're in this administrative forbearance, you are able to purchase back the months, which means the time spent in the SAVE plan, you're able to buy back those months, okay? Now, here less more or less tells you about how to apply for PSLF, but I want you all to see here, because like I said, it gives you everything that you need to know about qualifying for public service loan forgiveness, what type of employment for public service loan forgiveness, what type of loans that you need. So it tells you the type of employers. Not only that, they tell you what the definition is of a full-time employment, also what the certification and signature process is about. So this is for the employers once the application is submitted. But here's the eligible loans, and this is why we have borrowers who are trying to consolidate or who are considering consolidating their loans because they may have these ineligible loans or these older loans that they are want to consolidate into a direct loan. And for that reason, it's important, like I said, to know what happens if you consolidate the loan. Because prior to the one-time account adjustment, when the one-time account adjustment was in, which this was under the Biden administration, and you can read more about the one-time account adjustment, and you can get that right here. So just clicking here, see the payment account adjustment to learn more about what happened with that particular during that particular time period. But if you consolidated during that time, you were able to bring all of your credits with you. So that means anytime before that, any payments that you made, when you consolidated, those payment credits will come along with you. Under normal rules, if you consolidate your loans, then those payments would not have come with you. And now we're back to those rules. So what's going to happen is, and they tell you, if you consolidate your loans on or after September 1st, 2024, the qualifying payments made on direct loans, other type of loans will not be considered included in your consolidation loan, will be credited to your consolidation loan using a weighted average of those payments. Borrowers are strongly encouraged to certify all of their qualifying employment applicable to the loans before they are consolidated to ensure that the weighted average is applied, correctly applied. So what that means for you, and then go more into breaking that weighted average down. But what that means for you, if you are someone who has not consolidated your loans and you are considering consolidating your loans, you want to make sure that you certify your employment first. That's the first thing that you want to do before you do any type of consolidation, okay? So that way you're getting all of your credits prior to consolidating that loan. So that way you're able to visually see what your qualifying payment counts look under each one of those particular loans. I'm going to show you an example of that, okay? But this is where you go back to read more about the PSLF process. It will tell you everything that you need to know, all of the repayment plans that are eligible. And even though SAVE is here because of the injunction against these plans, so there's an injunction against income contingent, pay as you earn, and also SAVE, which means that if you were in, or if you are in any of these plans, and let's say you reach that 120 months of qualifying employment, you've made your 120 months of qualifying payments, your loans will not be forgiven under any of these plans. You would have to be an income base in order for forgiveness to happen. But for the sake of this video, I'm not going to go too deep into those details, but there's an injunction against these plans, which means that these are technically plans where you will not receive any forgiveness if you are at that threshold to have your loans discharged under public service loan forgiveness, okay? All right, so like I mentioned, there was a status report that the Department of Education, because there's a lawsuit against the Department of Education by the American Federation of Teachers. I'm not going to go too deep into that, but you can look at this document because what this document does, it tells you where the Department of Education is in their process of making decisions on applications. So not only does it talk about the months that can be purchased back, but it also talk about the where they are in the process of just income during repayment plan applications, and we see that they are extremely backlogged in their processing. But what's important here as well is to look at the forbearance types, and I'm going to show you how you're able to look at the forbearance types in your student aid account, so that way you can see if any of these months, when you look at your student aid account, do you see any of these forbearance types that you may be able to purchase back? And there's a whole list of them, okay? And you can just put this case number in. So put this information here, this case 1:25-CD00802, that's RBW. Just put that in Google and you'll be able to bring this document up, okay? All right, so let me stop here and we're gonna go to my document here so I can show you exactly how you are able to see the information in your student aid account. So if you've already certified employment, meaning that you are eligible for the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program, you've certified your employment, you should already see a tracker in your student aid account. But for those of you who have not, you have to certify employment in order for you to see that tracker. Not only that, so that you can see all of your qualifying payment counts, also all of your qualifying employment months towards your forgiveness under public service loan forgiveness, okay? So first thing you gotta do is you gotta log into your student aid account. So you're gonna go to studentaid.gov, you're gonna log in. Once you log in, this is where you're going to you're gonna put in your email or your username and your password. Once you get that information entered, that's where you're gonna go through your two-step verification. And they're going to send a code to you so you can verify who you are to make sure that you're proper. And then here's just telling you you're accessing a government account, so forth and so forth. Once you get here on the dashboard, this is where you should see your PSLF tracker. If you've already certified employment, this is where you're going to see that PSLF payment progress tracker. And this is important because this is how you know where you are with your qualifying payments, not only your qualifying payments, but also your employment as well. And what you're going to do here, because you want to make sure that you're looking at every single one of the loans, especially if you're someone who has not consolidated. You want to make sure that you're looking at every single loan that is listed in your account, okay? Because you want to see if you've already certified employment, or once you certify your employment, you want to see what that qualifying payment count is for each individual of those loans. And what you'll do is when you click show more loans, that is where you're going to see that whole entire list. Now, mind you, if you have not consolidated, you'll actually see a loan here. You'll see loan 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever the case may be, however many number of loans. And you'll be able to see the qualifying payments that you have out of that 120 for each individual one of those loans. And remember, if you have not consolidated and you decide that you consolidate, that qualifying payment is going to change because, mind you, they are now going to guesstimate that, or they're going to weigh that on some type of weighted average, okay? So it's important that you look at all of the information here, every single one of those loans, even if you have consolidated. You still want to go through this information to make sure there isn't a loan that you may have just lingering out there, okay? Now, once you go back, so like we started back here, once you go back here and you hit view details, okay? So instead of hitting show more loans, you just click view details. That is where you're going to see the information on your loans. If you've consolidated, this is what it's going to look like, because even though you've consolidated the loan into one loan, it looks like there's two because you have uh, you're going to have the subsidized and then the unsubsidized portion of your loan. So that's why you're going to see two. But you want to make sure that you're just looking at all of the information here, okay? This is where you're going to hit that show payment summary. And when you click on the show payment summary, that is where you're going to see what you have, the qualifying payments. Not only that, if there's any employment that needs to be certified. And this is important because when you click here, this is going to show you, because if you're not at 120, then we know we have something going on. Either we just haven't met the months of qualifying payments, or that means that we have something that's ineligible as a payment, which means that could be you were in a deferment, some type of forbearance, or if you are someone who's currently in a save plan, your status is ineligible, which means your qualifying payments are ineligible until you purchase those months back. But you'll be able to see what your plan is, because all of that is here in your repayment details. You'll see your repayment plan, which will say if you're in save, this is what you'll see. If it's a different type of repayment plan, it's going to say that there, okay? Employment that needs certification, all of that's going to be here. And what you're going to do is you're going to click view. You're going to click view on both of these because you want to be able to see what payments, why haven't I got to 120, especially if you believe that you should be at 120. Why aren't we at 120? And if you're in a save plan, you want to verify those months that you've been in a save plan to make sure that the reason why you're not at 120 is connected to either the save plan, or if you're someone who may not be in a save plan, if it's just due to another type of deferment or forbearance. And remember, you're going to go back to that status report to look at those periods that you're able to purchase back, okay, to verify if your deferment or forbearance qualifies to be purchased back, all right? So when you click view, what's going to happen is, I'm sorry, let me go back. When you click at view, when you scroll down here, so let me go back. When you scroll down here, because you're able to scroll down, what's going to happen is that it's going to show you, it'll start to show you all of the loans that's connected. Once again, it'll show you that, but it'll show you what the loans, because the sub and unsub, it'll show you which loans are ineligible, and they'll tell you this loan is ineligible for PSLF or temporary expanded PSLF. And it'll tell you why. And it's going to give you the recommended action. And not only that, it's going to tell you that you're in a forbearance. So you know why those particular loans that you've consolidated is not eligible for public service loan forgiveness, because for this person, they're in the save plan. So that is why it's showing that these loans are not eligible for public service loan forgiveness. And they tell you the recommended action, which is to get out of the forbearance. And in order to get out of the forbearance, if you're in a save plan, is to enroll into a qualifying repayment plan, which will be the income-based repayment plan, okay? But anything that you decide to do, you want to make sure you just do it 100% informed, okay? All right, so once you go back to the information, once you're out of this, after you're done looking at this, you'll be able to see where you can hit the X to go back. That is where you're at the top, where you'll see PSLF payment, and you have three little selections here. Loan details, payment history, employment certification. And you can do this here. You can do for PSLF and temporary expanded, or you can just do it for PSLF if that's the only one that you believe you qualify for. But this is where you're going to see all of the information again, okay? And when you click on loan details, this is what you'll see. So this will be your loan details tab. But when you click on payment history, this is what you're going to see. And this is going to show you all of your payments, okay? And if you have not consolidated a loan, it'll be different. It'll show the type of loan that you have, and it'll show the payment period, the same exact thing, except for it won't say consolidation loan. It'll say the type of loan that you have. But this is where we're going to look to verify, to figure out where we are having the issue at. Why are we not at our 120? And that is where we're going to look at the month and the year. For each one, it's going to tell you. So we see that this is ineligible. Then for this one, employment not certified. But this month here, we have qualifying. So we know that, okay, we need to look at the employment is not certified for these 2 months. So we know we need to certify the employment, but we need to know why is this particular month ineligible. And this is why we have the view details here, okay? So when you click on view details, that is where it's going to tell you why this particular set of loan is ineligible. And it's going to tell you it is ineligible because there's forbearance, and then we've got no employment data, okay? So we know that if you are in the SAVE plan, this status is not going to change. The status is not going to change. It will be considered to be an ineligible payment period due to the fact that you're in the SAVE plan. And that's not going to change unless you buy back these months, and then any months going forward, you enroll into an income-driven repayment plan to start changing the status of any months going forward. But we know that these months here, if it is connected to you being in a forbearance because you're enrolled in a SAVE plan, that's not going to change. It's going to stay ineligible the entirety of the time that you are in the SAVE plan. So as the months continue, if this person continues to stay, or if they have stayed, so we know that March, April, May, June, all of that is going to be ineligible because they are in the SAVE plan, okay? All right, so once you look at the details, it'll tell you why exactly that you're ineligible. You can also minimize all of this information here. If you just want to see the periods of ineligible payments, there's a filter that's at the top of the screen. Once you click on filter, you'll be able to select what it is that you want to see. And just to shorten the list, you can go to ineligible payments, employment not certified, whatever it is that you want to see, to make it a little bit easier for you to verify and to see the things that you need to see. Okay. Lastly, remember when we were looking at the filter here, let's go back. When we click employment certification, because we've already went through payment history. Payment history is where it showed us all of the information that we need to determine what months are ineligible, the reason why it is ineligible, and what we need to do, what action needs to be taken, okay? But when we click on, I'm sorry, let me go back. When we click on employment certification, that is where we're going to see the employment that's been certified. Not only that, we're going to see the periods as well where the information has been certified. So that way, like, okay, 6/1/2009 through 6/27/2013, I know that I worked for a qualifying employer. So you're going to verify that when you go back to the information here. When you're looking at the status here, you're going to verify that because you have all these next, multiple pages to make sure that everything is lining up. So we're just doing our checks and balances in a sense to make sure that all the information here is matching prior to you submitting your buyback request, or prior to you submitting your after you submit your request to certify the employment, okay? So that's what you want to check to make sure. So we're just doing all of our checks to make sure that everything is matching up. Again, if you have multiple employers, because with public service loan forgiveness, you could certify employment all the way back to 2007, October 1st, 2007. After that period, you can certify employment. So we know this person started theirs with a eligible employer in 2009. You have employment that you need to certify. You want to go all the way back to that time period and get that certified, okay? Now, let me show you something really quick. And this is how you're able to get information if you have not, to get your transcripts. Because when you look at that information that you need to certify, or even periods that you need to buy back for public service loan forgiveness, let me show you right quick. For public service loan forgiveness, they are going to, when they give you your buyback agreement, they're going to base that information when you're buying back these months. So like I showed you, when you're buying back these months, you have to know what your income, they want to know what your income and family size was during that time frame. That is how they're going to base that buyback amount on. So what you need to do, or what you are going to want to do, is let me see. What you're going to want to do is to get your tax transcript, because you can upload that information when you submit your buyback request. But what you're going to do is you're just going to go to the IRS if you have not created an account with the IRS. But basically what you're going to do is you're going to get your transcript, okay? And when you have a IRS account and you log in, you'll be able to see your transcript information. All that information will be in your account, but you have to create an account first. So once you go to Transcript, you sign into your online account, or you just sign in. that is where you're able to get your transcripts. But they give you other options to get it, but the easiest way is to just download it. You can download it directly from the website. Once you're already logged in, you can download it, and then you'll have all of that. And then when you submit your buyback request, you'll be able to just upload it. But to get to the buyback information, basically you just go like I did with the search, just type in the magnifier PSLF buyback, and it will get you the information here, okay? And they tell you about how the reconsideration, all of that, how long it takes, and everything that you need to know. If you have any questions about it, I do offer one-on-ones. You can schedule with me directly on my website. And that's just my name, Tammy, A1consultingllc.com. Or like I just showed you, go directly to the Student Aid website. It takes you through it step by step by step. All right, good luck with everything, y'all. Thanks so much for hanging out with me.